and welcome to this math tutoring video. Today we are going to take some data and organize it into a frequency distribution and then find some more information about it. Before we get started, make sure you have something to write on. I recommend having, normal notebook paper and pencil, but if you could also have a little scrap piece of paper off on the side that you could jot down any questions you have, that way you can, after the video is over, if those questions haven't been answered, you can always email them to me. I'm more than happy to go over anything again or differently or whatever. So get that ready. I definitely also recommend that before starting this question, you've gone over the information in your textbook and the videos. I will open up the SSC stats page that contains this information. So we are working in chapter 2 here. So frequency distributions and also measures of central tendency. So if you want to get a little extra reading, a little extra notes, these two will be linked in the description. We're going to be using some information from both of these notes worksheets. And this is actually going to be really helpful for this problem. So we're not going to go through all of it in the video, but you can definitely do that on your own. If you want to pause the video now and look at these to see the different examples, we're going to be doing something very similar to this. So you're welcome to pause, like I said, and look over it to get an idea of what's going to be happening. All that said, I think we can get started. So we have a list of numbers here. We got lucky. They were in ascending order, which is nice. Oh, also, before I go too far, I am displaying this data in Excel. You do not need to use Microsoft Excel. Paper and a regular old phone calculator is going to be fine. But since I'm recording this on my computer, I'm just going to use what I have on my computer, but you don't need anything fancy for this. I will be using Excel to display the data, and I'm also going to be using Desmos because it's a really nice on-screen calculator. But like I said, all you need is paper, pencil, and your phone calculator will be fine, or whatever calculator you're comfortable with. Desmos is a free online calculator, like I said. That will be linked in the description also. But don't feel like you have to use exactly what I use. Just use what works for you. So the first thing we are asked to do with these numbers is A, create a frequency distribution using 5 classes. What they're saying is they'd like us to take this data, take these numbers, and put them into 5 groups. That's what classes are. They're groups. Now I have to have 5 specifically, and there's actually a special way that we can determine how big the groups are supposed to be. Some people call them groups or classes. Some people call them bins. It can be very helpful if you visualize them literally as like, I've got 5 different boxes that I'm going to put my numbers in. What we need to do right now is figure out what the labels on the boxes are going to be. This is called finding the class width. And to do that, what you want to do is take the highest number in your list and subtract the lowest number in your list. This is called finding the range. So our highest number is 60. Our lowest is 18. I could do that in my head, but it's been a long day, so I'm going to grab my calculator. 42. So this is the range. What we need to do to find, like I said, what the labels will be, what the class width is I'm going to take the range, which we just calculated, and I'm going to divide it by the number of classes I'm instructed to use. I'm told to use 5 classes, so I'm going to take that 42, and I'm going to divide it by 5. And I get 8.4. Now, if you do this process and you don't get a whole number like we did here, we're going to round up. So I'm going to round this up to 9. And what that is going to mean is, let me show you. I'm going to write this down, class and frequency. Yeah, so I'll start labeling things. I'll make it look a little nicer later. There we go. Okay, so the very lowest number in the list is 18, right? So I'm going to start by typing in an 18. That's going to be the minimum number that's going to go in this box. And then the highest number that's going to go in this box, I'm going to use the class width that I just calculated, which we rounded to 9. Then I'm going to count from 18 up to, let's see, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. That should be it, right? Count. I literally counted on my fingers. I can try again. Starting at 18, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Yeah. So if you do that too, I know you can't see my fingers because my screen's not on here, but I literally did start with 18 and I counted until I had 9 fingers up and I got to 26. So that's my first class. I'm not going to worry about the frequency just yet. I'm going to keep going with my classes. So the numbers 18 to 26 are going to go in this box, which means the next box will start off at 27. And I have to do the same counting thing. I have to go starting at 27, count until I have 9. So 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Now, there is a pattern developing here. If you are so inclined to go ahead and just go for it, I don't mind. I'm going to keep doing the counting on my fingers thing because I have them. I'm going to use them. So that's our second box. It will contain any numbers between 27 and 35. This next box will start off at 36. And again, I'm going to do 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. So this box will contain any numbers between 36 and 44. Now I have to have a total of 5 of these. They said 5 classes, so 5 boxes, 5 bins. What do you want to call them? So I've got 3 of them. That's pretty good. I got 2 more. This next one will start off at 45. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. All right, this one will start off at 54. This will be our last one. Let's see, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. So these are the different bins, boxes, classes, whatever you want to call them. We do have 5 of them, and they each have a class width of 9. Now the time is to we got to look at our list and see how many things in our list belong in each box. So in this first box, any of the numbers between 18 and 26 would go in here. So I'm going to look at my list and see how many things are going to go in my box here. So I see, let me see if it'll let me highlight. We're gonna find out here. The 18, both of the 19s, all 3 of the 20s, the 22, 23, and 25, all of those are between 18 and 26 inclusive. So that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I count that right? Oops. I'm gonna try and color code it, see if I can do that. I've actually never tried that before, so let's find out. Yeah, there we go. All right. I'm gonna color code this for us. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So my frequency is 9. Frequency just means how many. Or, yeah. Oh, I want it to be blue. Thank you. All right, so the next box can contain numbers between 27 and 35. Let's make this one. Oh, let's go this purpley color. Why not? So any number between 27 and 35 will go in this box. I'm going to look back at my list. Let's see. 28, 30, 32, 35, oh, and another 35. Those will all count, so that's a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the frequency for this group is 5. You do not have to color code if you don't want to. And like I said, you don't have to be using Excel. This is just something you're going to be writing down just by hand. You don't need graph paper, nothing fancy. Just write it out for yourself. I like the color coding because it helps me not get too visually distracted. Please feel free to let me know what you think. All right, next group is 36 to 44. Let's color this one. I'm not going in any kind of order, and that bothers me a little bit, but that's okay. So the next group can contain any numbers between 36 and 44. So going back at my list, I see these 3 that fit the bill. 37, 39, and 42 are all within that group. So the frequency of this class is 3. Next up, we've got, I haven't used orange yet, any numbers between 45 and 53. And I'm looking at my list here, and I think there's just one thing, just this 45 right here. Yeah, just one. That box is almost empty. And then the final one, any numbers between 54 and 62. If you can look at what we have here, we only have 2 numbers that we haven't highlighted yet. So 2. But I feel like I should color them anyways because I've been coloring everything else about red. I don't like red, but that's okay. So this is how you create a frequency distribution with a given number of classes. Sorry, I'm slightly obsessive compulsive about this. So this right here is what part A would look like. We have a frequency distribution. We've divided up all the numbers and we figured out how many are in each category or each group, each class, each bin. Those all mean the same thing. So there's that one. Part B is asking us to find and label the midpoint, relative frequency, and cumulative frequency of each class. So what we have right here, this is a basic frequency table. You can add more categories, more columns. We have class and frequency. You can add more, and it looks like part B is kind of asking us to add more. It's asking us to add midpoint, relative frequency. And we will totally talk about what each of these are in just a second. And then see if I can spell. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Let me make those nice and orderly. Can't read them. I guess this is a good reason to not use Excel because if you're writing it on paper, you don't have to do exactly what I'm doing right now. So there's that. Also, I should say to make sure that whatever the instructions are for this assignment, some teachers do not want you to do this kind of assignment on the computer. They do want it specifically handwritten. So always double check that before doing anything. So, okay, so we have these 3 extra things added that that part B wants here. So the first thing is the midpoint. Midpoint is literally what is halfway between the 2 endpoints of the class. So what is halfway between 18 and 26? You can grab a ruler or like a number line and look at it if you'd like, or we can just use the trick where we're going to add those 2 numbers together and then divide the result by 2. So we're going to take 18, the lower one, add 26. And if you're using like a phone calculator or something, make sure that if you're going to do this, you do parentheses. That way the division happens at the right part. So 18 plus 26, the sum of that divided by 2 is 22. So the halfway point between those 2 numbers is 22. So what is the halfway point between the next one? Do the same process. I'm going to add 27 and 35, and then I'll divide that in half. So the midpoint is 31. Same thing for the 36 and the 44. Midpoint is 40. You can keep going like this if you'd like to. You could do 45 plus 53 and then cut that in half, and then the last one. One thing I think is kind of cool, it happens in these frequency tables in a lot of different sections, but a pattern will always develop. Do you remember way back, I don't know how long ago it was, but it feels like a long time. When we were finding the class width, what we did is we did 60 minus 18, and we divided that by 5, and we rounded that to 9, and that's how we got all of these numbers over here in the classes. Our class width is 9. You can actually use that to find the midpoints. Once you find the first one, you'll notice that if you add 9, you get the next one. 22 plus 9, 31. 31 plus 9, 40. So the next one will be 40 plus 9, which is 49. And the next one will be 49 plus 9, which is 58. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. If you like having those patterns and going those little quote unquote shortcuts, go for it. But you could always just continue doing what we were doing here. That's never a problem. But you're probably getting tired of me talking orally part B, so I figured why not. So that would be that part there. Something I'm going to do here, in order to find relative frequency, what we need next, we do need the grand total of the frequency, how many total numbers are on our list. You can go ahead and count that up. I'm try to be efficient, but it's not going well. I was going to use the auto sum feature and there we go. Auto sum. All right, hopefully you counted up the numbers in the list and you got 20. Okay. The reason why we need that is because relative frequency is going to be the frequency of the class divided by the grand total frequency. So for the first class, we had 9 in that group. Basically, they're asking us what percentage of the total list is in this bin, this class, this box. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm going to take 9. I'm going to divide it by 20. And I get 0.45. If you want to leave it as a decimal, just 0.45 is fine. Lots of times I notice in like the online homework questions, they'll have you put it as a percentage. And to do that, you would just have to multiply that by 100. So 45%. I'm going to do that for this one. You can always double check with your teacher to see what they would like for this particular question. But 45% of all the numbers are in this first box, which makes sense because it's got the highest number. There's quite a lot in there. So let's do the process for the other ones. This one has 5 out of the 20 total. Let's do that. 5 divided by 20, then multiply by 100. I get 25% or 0.25. Now let's see. This is 3 out of 20, which should definitely be lower than the last one. We get 15%. Now, let's see. This fourth class only had one thing inside of it. So that's going to be a pretty small percentage compared to the rest. Yeah, it's only 5%. That's small. And this one is 2, so it's not going to be much bigger. You might be able to guess what it is, but if not, that's fine. Good, 1%. And so this is how you calculate the relative frequency. It's just asking you what percent of the whole is represented by this category. And if you add up all of these percents, hopefully you end up with 100%. Okay. Last up for part B anyway is the cumulative frequency. Cumulative frequency basically is asking you to find, as you go row by row in your distribution, what is the total frequency? So looking at this first row, what is the total frequency? Just 9. And then for the next one, it wants you to look at the 2 rows. So 9 plus 5, 14. Then you need to look at 3 rows. 9 plus 5 plus 3, 17. Then look at 4 rows. 9 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1, 18. And then finally, for the last row, you look at all of them. 9 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2 is 20. And your cumulative frequency, your last row, should always add up to your grand total because that's what cumulative frequency works out to be. So I think we have finished part B with this now. Find and label the midpoint, check. Relative frequency, check. And cumulative frequency of each class. So that part is done. That's awesome. Next up is part C, find the mean of the data. So just looking at your list of numbers, find the mean. When people say average, they're usually talking about mean. And to find that, what you want to do is add up every single number in your list, get that sum, and then divide by the total amount you had in your list. Now we know we have a total amount of 20. I'm going to go ahead and split my screen so I can have my calculator a little clearer, or so I can have both at the same time, because I will not remember those numbers. But go ahead and do this with me. I'm just going to add them all up. So 18 plus 19. And then another 19. If you see duplicates, they have to go in there as well. I'll try not to miss any or double count. You can totally fast forward this part if you've already gotten some. And if you are by any chance feeling lost or overwhelmed, feel free to let me know. Like I said, you can look at the notes that we have. It goes through this, but you don't have to listen to me talk. And then you should also have your textbook, and of course you can ask your instructor as well. Okay, so hopefully I did that right. I'm gonna double check my work before I publish this video. But you're gonna get the sum of all the numbers. Actually, I'll pause. I'll check right now, but I'm not gonna make you live through me checking. So hold on a second. Okay, I'm very glad I double checked before I kept going. Good lesson to everybody. Somehow I completely missed both of the 35s that are in the purple group. So I plop those in there, and my sum is 624. Please let me know if you got that as well. Now that we have our sum, we can divide by 20 because we had a grand total of 20. So we end up with a mean or an average of 31.2. So mean, I'm just gonna write down what we just did. We did the sum of the data values divided by total data values. And for us, we ended up with a sum of 624 divided by 20, which got us 31.2. So that is the mean, that is the average, and that is part C. Last up is part D, find the mean of the distribution. So this is asking us to kind of pretend that you don't have these numbers up here. Pretend that you only have this here, and you want to find, well, what's the average? I have a lot in this group. I have a lot in this group. This group's pretty empty. What's the average here? So I'm actually going to bring up the notes I was talking about earlier because I'll be honest with you, I don't have this formula memorized. In a lot of occasions, I'll use Excel to calculate for me, but we're going to do this by hand. Okay, so I actually have it right here, the guidelines, finding the mean of a frequency distribution. That's exactly what we're going to do. So the first thing we have to do is find the midpoint of each class. Now we did that. We have the midpoint labeled, so that's fantastic. So step two, is find the sum of the products of the midpoints and the frequencies. Let me write down that and show you what that means. So sum of the products of the midpoints and the frequencies. So we're going to do frequency times midpoint. So we're being asked to take the frequency times the midpoint for each row. So the first one will be 9 times 22. Calculator, clear this all out. 9 times 22. Oops. 198. Let's write that down. So FM is just frequency times midpoint, and that's what we're going to do for each row. So the next one is 5 times 31. 155. Next one is 3 times 40. Then this one is 1 times 49. And then 2 times 58. Oh, is that one? No, it's not. I thought I could do it in my head. I'm tired. Okay. All right, 160. Okay, so back to the notes. Step one we did, step two we just did. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, we didn't finish. We just found each product. We found the frequency times the midpoint. It says we have to find the sum of all those. So we actually have to add all of these numbers together. So let's do that. Go ahead and get a jump on it if you'd like. I'm pretty darn sure at this point you might be faster than I am. I'd like to say I'd be faster if I was on, like, paper, but I probably wouldn't be. All right, so I'm going to add up all the numbers I've just highlighted in yellow. I'm smart, but I'm not fast. All right, so I did 198 plus 155 plus 120 plus 49 plus 116. I got a total of 638. Write that down. All right. Now we finished step two. Step two is to find the sum, which we've done. Next is find the sum of the frequencies, which we actually did earlier. The grand total, if you take 9 plus 5 plus 3 plus 1 plus 2, you get 20. So we've done that as well. So now we can move on to step four, the last one. Yay. The meaning of the frequency distribution, it just says to find it, which is nice. But the formula over here is we have to take the sum that we just found, that's 638, and divide it by the total frequency. So we're going to take 638 and divide it by 20. And theoretically, it should be close to the mean that we found earlier, 31.2. Not the same, but it should be close. So 638 divided by 20 should be close. And it is. It's 31.9. It's pretty close. Okay. So if this is a written assignment and the instructor wants you to write down formulas used, you'll want to write down, at the very least, step number 4, this formula here. Or if you look at the notes, I think it's this one. You can look through it, or the videos where there's an example given. I know your textbook has one at the very least, and you can write it the way that they do if you'd like. But at the very least, I would write down step number 4 formula. So let me write down what we just did. Something like that. We did. Okay. This actually wraps up the problem. This should be it. Oh, okay. I thought I stopped recording for a second. I will in a minute though. But that should take care of everything. All the information that we were asked to find is currently on screen right now. You can go ahead and check the work that you've done. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to let me know. You can send me an email. That's the best way to get in touch with me. Yeah, we've got our frequency distribution with 5 classes. We've got our 5 groups. We found the midpoint, relative frequency, cumulative frequency. We found the mean of the original data set. And then we found the mean of the distribution. That should be everything. And like I said, before handing in your assignment, make sure that you know exactly which way you want your teacher wants it written down. If they're okay with an Excel sheet or something and you're comfortable with it, go for it. But a lot of times, pencil and paper is the way to go. So with that, I will sign off and wish you the best of luck. And like I said, let me know if you have any questions.